Hey everyone, this is Matt. Before we get into this lesson too much, I want to make sure that you're familiar with system preferences. It's the main way that you change most of the system settings on your computer. You can get there in a couple of ways. There may be a shortcut to it in your dock. It looks like this, a little gear wheel. And if you have that shortcut, you can click that. If you don't have the dock shortcut, you can go to the Apple menu at the top left, click it, and click System Preferences. System Preferences is just an application like all your other apps. So you can also go to the Finder, go to Applications, and scroll down to System Preferences. We'll come back to System Preferences shortly. So there are a few ways you can customize your desktop. And the first thing you can do, perhaps the most obvious way, and perhaps the thing that you did when you first got your Mac, is to change the picture that appears on the screen. In my 5x5 video on clicking, and if you haven't seen it I recommend you take a look, I mentioned that you can change the desktop by doing a right click on an empty part of the screen to get to the context menu. Let's do that now. If you have a lot of files strewn all over your desktop, you'll have to do a bit of searching or cleaning up to find an empty area. Find an area free of files, either right click, control click, or on a trackpad, 2-finger click. And from the contextual menu, click Change Desktop Background. Now, before clicking anything else, take a look at what we have. We're seeing a window. At the top it says Desktop and Screensaver. But in the very top left of the screen, you'll see the word System Preferences. And what that means is, we've actually just opened System Preferences and gone into the Desktop and Screensaver panel. At the top left of this window, there's a little icon with a bunch of dots. Click that now. This is what you see if you first open System Preferences. There are 4 or 5 rows of icons, each of which controls a different aspect of your system preferences. At the top row towards the left, you'll see Desktop and Screensaver. And that gets us back to where we originally clicked. What options do we have now? Well, you can choose one of these funky landscapes that come with the Mac, and Apple gives you pictures of elephants, lions, frogs, flowers, and all kinds of colourful options. You can also drag any picture from the desktop or from a Finder window into this little well at the top of the window. For example, and let go. If you use the Photos app, what used to be called iPhoto, you'll also see a Photos option on the left, and this shows you your photos library. I have some pictures of a farmer's market in my garden, so I'm going to pick a picture of some apples. Another thing you can do here is actually add folders of pictures that you have on your computer. Apple's showing me the pictures folder, but there's nothing in it. So if I click the Add button down here on the left, look for a folder. Right now I'm in the shared folder, and that has some images, so I'll choose that. And now I'm seeing a collection of all the pictures I have in this shared folder. And I can choose one. Okay, that looks nice. Now for the dock. In an earlier lesson, I talked about how you can add to and remove applications from the dock to show only the programs that you use on a regular basis. So let's take out any that we don't want. Let's go through from left to right. The Finder you can't remove, that's always there. Launchpad, that's pretty useful. Safari, I'm going to keep that. Mail, contacts, calendar. Well, notes, I don't use so much. So I'm going to grab notes, lift it up. Now when I see the word remove, I can let go, and it's gone. Now here's an important thing to remember. Removing apps from the dock doesn't delete them from your computer. They still live in the applications folder. All we're doing is taking away the shortcut that lives in the dock. Okay, let's carry on. Reminders. Okay, I'm going to hold down reminders, and now if I hold it down for too long, what happens is I see the context menu that belongs to that icon, and from this point I can open the program, I can do some options. One of the options is remove from dock, so I guess that's what I want to do. But the thing to remember is different things may happen if you hold down the cursor on an icon for a short time or a longer time. You can quickly grab the icon, lift up and remove. Hold down for a longer time, you'll see the contextual menu. And this rule also applies to some of the keyboard shortcuts I'll discuss in a later lesson. Sometimes you want to just tap the key, but if you hold down a key for a longer time, you might see a different result. If you're used to having an iPad or an iPhone that has Force Touch, you might already be familiar with this. Now let's try and remove one more thing. Over here I have the icon for iTunes, and there's a little black dot under it, and that tells me that iTunes right now is actually running. If I try and drag it up and remove and let go, it bounces back. Any app that's running has to be present in the dock. But now that I've done that removal, now that I've told the dock that I don't want to see the iTunes icon, if I now quit that application, it disappears. Feel free to go through by yourself and remove any apps that you don't want to see in the dock. Of course, the reverse of this is to add applications back from the applications folder, and that's just as easy. Go to the Finder, go to Applications, and find what you're looking for. Let's put Notes back. I've decided I actually do want it after all. Scroll down, N, Notes, and I'll put it here. And Reminders, I'll put that back too. Once you put something into the dock, you can actually move it around. So I might want Notes towards the left. I'll put it there. And let's move Mail. You see I've held it down too long there. Grab it for a brief time and move it. There we go. Let's move Mail towards the right hand side. Now here's something interesting. I can't move an application beyond this little divider line. It has to live on the left side of that line. If I try and move it to the right, it just doesn't drop. There's no space for it. Applications have to live on the left side of that line. On the right of the dock, you can store files and folders. Right now, I see my Downloads folder, and I see a minimized window for Camtasia. That's my screen capture software. But I can add things into that area. Let's find my folder here called Mostly Nonsense. Grab it, drag it down, and drop. Now if I click that icon, I see a list of all the files that live in that folder. Again, I'm not moving a folder or copying it, I'm really just adding a shortcut to the folder into the dock. If I delete the original folder or file, I will break this link. It'll still work for now because that folder is now in the trash. So this shortcut points to the folder in the trash. That's why I'm still seeing the files. If I empty the trash, this link turns into a question mark. It doesn't know where the file is anymore. So let's trash that shortcut. Again, don't make the mistake of thinking that because something is in the dock, you can delete the original file, folder, or application. What else can you do with the dock? Well, you can change where it appears on the screen. And there are two ways of doing this. On the Mac, there are usually at least two ways of doing anything. Go to System Preferences, click Dock in the top row, and try a few changes. Let's change position on screen to left, and now I have the dock on the left from top to bottom. I could also say right, and it's now over there on the right. I'm going to put it back to the bottom of the screen. You can change the overall size that the dock takes up on the screen. This slider makes it smaller. That's pretty small, that's really too small. Or larger, up to the full width of the screen. Magnification is a way to zoom in on what your cursor is pointing at. I'll turn it on. Now when I move down, the dock kind of zooms in to give me a larger view of the icons. One more useful feature is here, where it says automatically hide and show the dock. I'll turn that on, and the dock's gone away. If I move the cursor down to the bottom of the screen, it reappears. This is useful if you want to get the dock out of the way and you don't really need to see it while you're working. The other way to change the dock's settings is to move the cursor down to the dividing line in the dock and right click. You can go into the full dock preferences here, which will launch System Preferences, or you can change a few basic options up here. Okay, that's all for now. Next time I'll talk about how you customize notifications. Bye bye.